put a plastic bag over your head.
They asked me to put a paper bag over my head.
They make him take his pants off.
Yeah, I didn't know I had to have a rectal test to get my hair cut.
Why do I feel two hands on my hips, too? What the hell? Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another spectacular edition of Livin' Cruddy with Cruddy Joe. I am Cruddy Joe, and I'm here with handsome Jimmy Hansen and the screamer, singer, human flamethrower, and mastermind behind legendary shock rock band Impaler, Mr. Bill Lindsey. And also we have, of course, the king of the nighttime world, plaster caster, and the answer to the perennial question, who let the dogs out, Mr. Gene Coffenberry. It was Gene. Gene's here. Fucking dogs out, so stop asking.
Usually you might want to do our guest as the last one.
But if I forget anyone, I'd rather it be you than him.
He makes a good point.
We're all here. That's the important thing, right?
Hey, you got the best one, Gene. Get off my back, man. Yeah, Jimmy just wants it to be noted that he's attractive. So if I get that in, he's happy.
That's all that matters.
Well, Jimmy really got into the artwork that he has hanging on his wall. That's a heavily decorated room that he's in there.
Like that?
It's like an eye test.
No, it's a hole to another dimension.
So in that dimension, are the cruds open?
Yes, they are. There's also no COVID in that dimension.
The last time that we played was March, just days before they shut everything down. We played an acoustic set, which we never did before. Yeah, I mean, the guitar players didn't even have acoustic guitars. It's like Brad works at a guitar shop, so we got some acoustic guitars and worked out the set. You know, it was really fun. I would do it again. But then like 2 days later, boom, everything shut down. We got it in right under the wire there.
You still do all the theatrics during an acoustic set?
Yeah, we had the flash pots went off and I knocked on the severed head and those guys played their folk guitars. They kept telling me they're not folk guitars, they're acoustic. I've only seen hippies play those things. So.
And you're whatever, hippie.
What else is going on? I mean, obviously you had to stop for however long, but you guys have any other plans?
No, we've been, we go in the recording studio on the 19th because we wrote a new album, which I think a lot of artists are doing, you know, a lot of bands. So that'll probably be the silver lining for all this. So there'll be some really good and probably some crappy music released in, you know, the next few months that was all created during the COVID.
How many records is this for Impaler now?
Like full lengths or records all together, I lose track, like 13 or something.
Is this going to be a full length?
Yeah, full length in the sense of a 70s album, you know, 8 tracks. We're not doing an hour and a half on a CD, you know. It's like, I think that the whole art of releasing an album really got lost when CDs came out. Masters of Reality has, 7 songs on it. Sabbath's first album has 6 songs. Toys in the Attic has 9 songs. Everyone thinks that their shit's golden, you know, and they got, oh my God, I got so many great things that everybody needs to hear. Bullshit. And I don't have a real long attention span either, as you'll probably find out as we go along here. But
7 or 8 songs of quality content beats the hell out of 2 hours of stuff you don't want to listen to.
I agree. I mean, I grew up in the 70s, so, you know, I'm partial to that format. That's what I grew up with, and that's what inspired me. That's kind of what I want to create too, you know.
Well, I first became aware of Impaler back when I lived in Florida, and we're going back to the 80s. I had a buddy who ran a pirate radio station down there that was big enough to cover the county that we lived in. He would play stuff from Sabbath to current metal and you know, a little bit of punk stuff, and he was more into the metal side of stuff. But the first record that you guys had, he had that. That's where I first saw that, and obviously you can't mistake that cover. It's a famous album cover.
Infamous.
It's
yeah,
definitely infamous.
Well, yeah, it served its purpose, that's for sure.
I would go over there on weekends when he was running the show, and he would have the records out, and I would always sit and gaze at the Impaler record. You know, years later, here we'd be talking, and it's just pretty cool for me. That was where I learned about a lot of that type of music, was through him and through his radio station. But I did note with Impaler, it wasn't the typical thing. You look at it and you say, okay, this is definitely some heavy metal. But when you listen to it, it's not. It's a mixture of all kind of stuff. It's got some what I perceive to be like Dead Boys, or a little bit of the vocals weren't like traditional Rob Halford type vocals. It was some other stuff, and that was what was appealing to me as well.
Well, yeah, I mean, we got lumped in with all the bands because at that time everybody was kind of, as it was exploding, there were a lot of people that were fired by, you know, the Metallica, the Marshall Crunch, the Chunka Chunka Chunk, which is great, you know. I love it too, but we were different, you know. We like mixed in punk and metal and, you know, a little polka music. Yeah, so I'm glad that you made that connection connection, back then, because we pulled from probably a different pool of inspiration along, with the Sabbath and that kind of stuff. I was a big fan of the New York Dolls and the MC5, the Stooges, those types of bands. And so that really was part of my musical DNA. Motorhead inspired, Metallica and Slayer and everybody else too. But some of those bands that maybe weren't big influences on some of the other bands, and I think that it came out in our music,
When I listened to it, I thought, given that you guys had the theatrics and the blood and the gore and, it felt like a natural progression of a little bit heavier, harder, wilder version of Alice Cooper.
Oh, yeah. Well, Alice is my main guy, Alice Cooper band. Yeah, the original band. I think that's the greatest American band of all time, probably. That band was huge influence to me. I mean, I'm a shock rock geek, so it's like it was Alice Cooper and Kiss and the Plasmatic. And I even got interested in Screaming Lord Sutch because I saw some pictures of him and I thought, my God, this guy was in these 50s cavalcades back then. He looks like he dropped in from Mars or something compared to these guys with their DAs and everything, Fats Domino and whoever else he was playing with. It was like he's out of his mind, and you've seen that footage too, haven't you, where he's playing like in some soundstage and all these girls are just like screaming their heads off, like hooking him out.
Jack the Ripper footage where it's black and white and he comes.
Yeah, that's great. Screaming Jay Hawkins. So I'm a geek for all that stuff. So it was just something I wanted to do as well.
Assuming you've seen the footage from it's like a big stadium gig. They're opening for somebody.
Yeah, the Stones. They were playing. Yeah, they're playing in a stadium, or Wembley or someplace like that.
Something like that. Something very large, and they've got coffins on stage. That's definitely something that obviously if you're into the backstory of shock rock or horror rock or something like that you would know about that. But I don't think your average 25-year-old Misfits fan, they don't know about that stuff and how that existed before.
Yeah, but it's important to know. I mean, that's where we came from, those types of things, and just other pop culture like comic books, pro wrestling, those types of things were all mixed into the Impaler stick. Still are.
The continuation of all the stuff that matters.
I haven't grown up since, I really just, I like the same things I liked when I was 16 years old.
How does that happen? I'm exactly the same.
I don't know. It just, I figured I was missing a chromosome or something. I don't know.
It's nice that you don't have to grow up.
Yeah, it's optional.
Yep.
Impaler, having been a trailblazer for shock rock groups of today, do you ever see your influence in the more contemporary shock rock groups like, say, Guar or maybe REO Speedwagon?
Yeah, more so with REO for sure. Kevin Cronin, he's been stealing my shtick for years.
Son of a bitch, I knew it.
He just can't fight that feeling anymore.
Yeah. One of the coolest things that's ever happened in the whole, almost 40 years that I've been doing this was a bunch of bands actually did an Impaler tribute CD. So there are bands from all over the country and overseas in Canada that covered Impaler songs. Wow, that is really cool. And I was really flattered by that. Like, I mean, Tommy Bagley did a bossa nova version of one of our songs on there. How does it get any better than that? So if I step off a curb and get hit by a bus tomorrow, I die happy,
Oh, you're practically double immortalized when bands are now covering your stuff. Definitely a cool thing. That influence was there. Not just one other person, but people from all around.
Yeah, exactly. And then all their versions were just smoke and just really ass kicking. It was like,
I wish we could have get in on that. So
that would have been cool.
Have you ever worked at the Tower Records in Nashville?
No, but I have a fly swatter from Earl Tubbs' record shop in Nashville. When I went in there, I bought an Elvis poster and a guitar-shaped fly swatter.
Those pesky guitar-shaped flies.
Yeah, it works really well when you find one of those. We played Grimey's, and then we played, what was it? Is it called Backwater or Sweetwater?
You played the Spring Water.
Spring Water. Yes. I knew it was some kind of water. We had a great time. But they closed the bar after we were done. We all sat in there and drank. And we got dressed in the parking lot, putting our makeup on like in the rearview mirror of people's vehicles. Sometimes some of the best shows are at dive bars.
That's one of the diviest bars.
Is it still there?
It's still there. That place has been there since right after the Civil War.
I saw Thor there.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, we played with Thor at the basement, either right before or right after we played with you guys.
Yeah, I played with Thor too. I had him come down for a zombie pub crawl.
That's the perfect gig, Thor and Impaler.
Yeah, our old drummer plays with Thor now.
You'd have to take on Thor in a battle.
Well, I dressed up like a monster and went up on the stage and we did a little battle.
No kidding.
Yeah, I wore my, as a matter of fact, I wore my Shock Monster mask.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. Duked it out with him a little bit. Then he hit me with a hammer and knocked me down. He didn't get the belt, though.
That's right.
It was a DQ, so I kept the belt.
You guys were involved in a documentary recently. I never ended up getting to see that. Did it ever come out?
No, it's not out yet. I don't know when that's coming out. I mean, there was a shorter one, Impaler versus the Peters Brothers. That was some of the footage that was filmed.
I've seen that. Yeah, I thought that was a segment of what was being put together for the larger.
It kind of was the what would you say, the impetus to want to go and make a longer movie, and like interviewed my family and people around town and filmed a show. And then he actually sent somebody and filmed a second show. I don't know what's going on with it right now, to tell you the truth.
Well, hopefully they get that together soon enough.
Probably when I die, they'll keep all the monies. He's dead. He has no use for this.
Oh, that's terrible. The kids demand the Impaler documentary. We demand it soon. You can pass that along to the guy.
Yeah. So anyway, hopefully maybe one day it'll see the light of day. That would be cool.
I'm definitely waiting to see it.
Is there a horror movie remake that you think is better than the original?
The Thing.
That's the best answer, I think.
That's the only one that really pops into my mind that I can think of. It.
Yeah, true.
The Nosferatu remake that Werner Herzog did. But I mean, how can you really top the original silent Nosferatu?
Yeah, I know.
It's pretty close. You know, it didn't suck like some remakes.
Herzog is pretty consistent.
Yeah. Did you ever see Shadow of the Vampire?
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome. I love that movie.
That actually brings us to a new segment that we're trying to add into. Would you be willing to attempt a Werner Herzog impersonation?
That must be brand new, huh?
Because PT did one last week, right?
Virginia did one.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
She did one.
A Werner Herzog impersonation? Yes. I got nothing. Did Timothy Treadwell put that? Why are you by the bear? Put the bear away.
Well, that was as good as I think any of us could do. I'd like to see Joe do a Werner Herzog.
Next week.
Can you imagine him being around?
Next week.
Timothy Treadwell. Did you ever see that movie?
Grizzly Man. And it has that really disturbing scene of him listening to Treadwell being eaten by a bear.
Oh.
But you can see how shaken he is while he's listening to this thing.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
Because his girlfriend watched Treadwell get eaten knowing that she was next. Pretty
Yeah, that
awful.
was pretty horrifying, that whole thing.
Well, I think VD already set the bar way too high on Werner Herzog impressions.
Well, we'll ask them to do the Werner Herzog, but if, say, like Bill does an impersonation that we're unaware of, maybe we could ask him to do that.
no, I'm not big on impersonation.
Well, that makes it even funnier.
My wife, you know.
Yeah.
That's it.
Did you lock the back door?
Yeah.
I watched the Tommy Bagley edition. I saw him swearing, and I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Tom doesn't typically like to swear, so we got him doing some.
Got him all riled up.
Yeah.
Got him really comfortable or really drunk. I'm not sure which.
He starts off a little guarded and then just starts going crazy. By the end of it, he's just totally loose and having a good old time.
I got that. He was drinking that strong Canadian beer, you know.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You betcha.
I mean, you're practically Canadian. So
Oh, yeah. Minnesota, we're kind of honorary Canadians. Did you bring some lutefisk? Come on.
Is that stuff as gnarly as it looks?
Lutefisk?
Lutefisk.
Oh, my grandma's maiden name was Lindstrom, so she would make some lutefisk, and I would have to leave her house because it's just nasty.
Smell.
Oh, my God. You guys probably aren't aware of that stuff down there, are you?
I know what it is, but I would not attempt to eat it unless I was forced to.
Cooking it in lye, you know, it's like poison. I don't know. You can have the lutefisk. More for you.
I do have two questions that I was interested in. The whole scene in Minneapolis in the 80s when you guys were starting, right? You ever run into Prince?
Well, I missed a party with Prince, actually. The other guys in my band partied with Prince, but I didn't.
You didn't invited or you missed the boat?
Yeah, I think he said, wait till that singer leaves and then you guys can come. We recorded one of our CDs out at Paisley Park, and they were getting ready to go on a European tour. They had been set up in the sound stage, so we actually saw like the Love Sexy stage set was all set up in this big sound stage that's in the back of Paisley Park. They'd broken it all down. We're getting ready to go, so they threw a party when we were recording, and those guys were in there tracking, and so they came in and said, you know, we're having a little party out here. You guys can come on out and have some drinks. And Prince was dancing with Sheila E. and guys. Free
And
beers.
they didn't call you? They don't call you to come out for that?
No, they didn't want me showing them up.
Right, that lead singer ego will get all over
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So and then the other disturbing thing that I found on the internet that you need to explain is this.
Rush? You guys don't like Rush, do you? I know, like you guys pressed Tommy on that in his interview. Yeah, I love Rush, especially like the first 4 albums through the live album. I love All the World's a Stage. That was the show I think that you have the ticket for.
November 5th, 1978. So you admit being there.
I was there. I was there. Yeah.
I honestly think there's a divide between the northern half of North America and the southern half.
Geography doesn't change the fact that they're terrible.
I agree. Those early Rush records are definitely the best stuff they did, and that's probably any band. But
so that show that tickets from was Rush, Styx, Starcastle, and Max Webster. It was 4 bands for $5.
That might have had to have been $5. I would have had to hold on to.
There was a lot of Rush bashing on this podcast. I feel bad about it. We probably should have. If they'd stop being terrible.
I'm flattered you found my Rush ticket.
When Dee Snider butt heads with Tipper Gore, do you think he was just trying to jump on the cool Bill Lindsey bandwagon?
They didn't invite me to go out there with them. That's like the beginning of a joke, isn't it? Dee Snider, Frank Zappa, and John Denver walk into a bar. Yeah, we used to disembowel Peter's brothers. They were some religious zealots from around here that used to have record burning.
I will read a line from a song. You tell me the following line, the name of the song and the band.
Okay, I'll try my best.
You know your brother Spike, he's on the level, but you're always looking
like you're mad at the devil. Aerosmith, One Way Street.
That's it. You got it.
Okay.
Oh, it's a great song, though. Oh, it's so raw. It's so great.
All right, so you're batting 1,000. You got the music question. Now I have 2 film questions. One is easy, and one is a little bit more difficult. You got to name the person that says it. You can either say the actor or the character's name and the movie. The quote is, "Trust is a tough thing to come by these days."
God, I just watched this movie. I know that line. I'm going to hit myself in the head with this brush when you tell me.
Don't hit yourself.
Yeah. Oh, that hurt.
I know. I just watched this movie. What is it? I'm sorry.
It's McCready from The Thing.
Oh, yeah. Duh.
You could just say the guy from this movie.
Okay, that dude.
The
Lay it
quote
on.
is, "I'm leaving. I shall not be back, but something will."
That seems like something I just watched, too.
"I'm leaving. I shall not be back, but something will."
God, I just watched this, too.
Garbage Pail Kids movie.
Flintstones? I don't know. What?
That was a wild guess for sure.
The character's name is Makata. The actor is Charles Gray, and the movie is The Devil Rides Out.
Oh, yeah. I did watch that recently, but not as recently as The Thing.
Hopefully these questions don't get you in trouble, but
Me?
He's like, Gene, you've seen me walk around covered in blood and breathing fire, right? This question is not going to get me in trouble.
Okay, so what this is, I'll ask you the question. What we'll do before you answer is we'll guess each one of us as to who we think it will be. And then you answer the question, tell us which one of us came closest. And the first question is of 2, what celebrity would you most like to do? And we'll find out what Jimmy thinks the answer is to that. Yes.
Kevin Cronin.
Okay, now it's Joe's pick.
I'm going to pick fellow shock rocker Wendy L. Williams.
Ooh, that's a good one. She's from Rochester, you know, my
All the
hometown.
cool people come
Does
from
she
there.
hate Rush?
Of course.
She probably killed Rush. Sticking with the Hammer theme, I'm going to say Carolyn Monroe, just because I had seen her earlier.
None of you hit the nail on the head. You know, I like the lookers like Irene Ryan and Margaret Hamilton.
You're the second Margaret Hamilton.
Yeah, Jane Hathaway. Yeah, she kind of scared me.
Kevin Cronin and Granny. Following question.
Switch jet.
Which celebrity would you most like to punch in the nose?
I had talents I didn't even know until I came on this show. Who would I like to slap the taste out of their mouth? Billy Joel, I guess.
Yes.
Can we help you with that?
I just can't even stand the sound of his voice. I just have to. I'd rather listen to silent.
Yeah, I knew Jimmy was going to say Kevin Cronin because I heard it from a friend.
Do we have a Jimmy's Cruddy cuisine this week?
This week was rough. My wife was out of town, so I had to take care of the kids. But I did make a delicious pseudo sweet and sour General Chow without the heat chicken the other night. It was really good. But the secret is frying it, of course. You got to fry it. You got to coat it in cornstarch. That's very important. And then I made a sauce with honey and the one ingredient I always swear I'll never use, which is ketchup.
This is 2 weeks in a row with ketchup.
The ketchup, that's kind of spicy.
I know.
Minnesota heat means it's got butter on it.
All right, my first question is The Replacement or Husker Du?
Well, he's worked with Bob Mould before, so.
Husker Du.
I would have to agree with that.
I do like the Replacements a lot too, but Husker Du had a little bit more edge on him.
Didn't you work with Bob Mould at some point?
Yeah, we did. He produced our first full length,
Ah.
our second release. Yeah, it was a great experience. I have a funny story about that too, if you want to hear it.
Absolutely. absolutely.
Yeah.
So we were recording the album, and so it was my day to do the vocals, and so I went in and we got all set up in the vocal booth, and I did a couple things, and he goes, you know what? He goes, I really want to get your adrenaline going. I want you to go out and run around the block 2 times and then come back in. And so I said, okay, it's kind of hot out. I went and ran around the block, and then I laid my vocals down after that. And I think I did the majority of the album in one afternoon. So that was kind of funny. It was fun working with him. He's a big wrestling fan. He ended up writing for the WCW. So you want to hear my greatest dream I ever had in my life?
Yes.
Absolutely.
I cannot forget this dream. I had it several years ago. I was walking down a sidewalk in a regular city neighborhood. Out from between 2 of the houses ahead of me ran a deer like lightning. Ran across the street and up the other side of the streets. And out of my vision. So I was thinking in my dream, what the hell is that thing running from? All of a sudden, out from between the 2 houses comes a Bengal tiger, and it comes out and it stands on the sidewalk that I'm walking down. And so I stop and I try not to move because I don't want him to see me. And all of a sudden, we lock eyes, and he starts running at me. And in my dream, I said, I can't run. I'm not running. So he jumped at me, and I punched him right between the eyes, and he fell out on the boulevard. Isn't that the greatest freaking dream? I punched a tiger and knocked him out.
Yeah, that's good.
Well, that's got to be a Impaler music video.
Yeah, I'm going to work it into a song somehow one day.
Bring me a tiger to punch.
Some either ors, Judas Priest or Iron Maiden?
Priest.
Any reason why particularly? Or?
Probably because I was into Priest first, and like Stained Class was my first Priest album. As much as I love Iron Maiden, I just always the songwriting and everything. I mean, it's one of those things you can't really put your finger on. But I guess maybe it was because I was a Priest fan a lot longer than I was an Iron Maiden fan. But I love Iron Maiden too. I was always an album buyer. When I got my first stereo, I got my paper route money together, and I was going to get my first proper stereo, right? And my mom went with me, and we went to J.C. Penney in St. Paul in Roseville, and we were looking at the stereos, and I was looking at one with a cassette player on it. My mom's like, oh no, those cassettes, they're going to go out. You got to get the 8-track. So I got a stereo with an 8-track player in it.
Okay, well, we had a question last week from P.T. Bonham, and he wanted to know what your favorite Kate Bush record is.
Yeah, back in the 80s, I had a cassette with The Dreaming on one side and Hounds of Love on the other side. And like on rainy, cold fall days, I would listen to that thing, and it just brings me, it was just real atmospheric sounding,
right.
And it went good with the rainy nights. But her best song is Women's Work, which is on the She's Having a Baby soundtrack. That's the best Kate Bush song. But those 2 albums, if I had to pick one, I guess Hounds of Love.
PT, you got your question answered about Kate Bush. And to play it forward, do you have a question for our next person?
What pro wrestling match inspired your music the most?
That should be an interesting answer.
I have multiple answers for that for myself.
Yeah, I'd like to hear him.
I grew up watching wrestling with my grandpa all the time. And I had a grandparent set down in Texas, and my grandma down in Texas was a huge wrestling fan too. I saw the Crusher and the Bruiser bust open Mad Dog Vachon and the Butcher in a Channel 11 studio over by Lake Calhoun in Minneapolis, So we have songs like Cage Match Tragedy. And
do you know who the Minnesota Iceman is?
do I know who he is? No, but I think he's Bigfoot.
Do you know the story of the Minnesota Iceman?
Yeah, we have a song about it on Cryptozoology. It's called Where's the Minnesota Iceman? Yeah, betcha.
But I have a follow-up question. Are you the Minnesota Iceman?
I can't confirm or deny that.
Every time I see that, I think of you.
Oh, you say the sweetest thing.
I wish happy birthday to Dagmar Van Slyke. Happy birthday, D.
Happy birthday.
And I wanted to thank Bill Lindsey for his time in playing Snappy Answers to the Question.
Oh, the pleasure's all mine. Thank you for having me.
And I want to thank the Getty Along Gang, Handsome Jimmy Hansen, and Gino Coffinberry for their time in putting up with me once again. And good night, and we'll see you next week. G's up and hose down while you motherfuckers bounce to this. Peace out.
This one's dynamite. This one's murder.